In these uncertain economic times, it's easy to be worried about protecting your wealth, your hard-earned savings, and your family's financial future. Plunging interest rates, the devaluating dollar, and political unrest constantly threaten what you have worked hard to earn and all that you own. That's why now it's more important than ever to protect your assets and have the money you need to make your dreams come true. Welcome to the Global Wealth Fortress Report with successful global entrepreneur and wealth preservation expert Joel Nagel. Joel's helped thousands of people just like you protect what you have so that you can make even more and make your every dream come true. So, sit back and enjoy Joel Nagel's offshore expert advice on how you can live the good life at a great price, where the sun never sets on your financial fortress.
And welcome to another edition of the Global Wealth Fortress Report. I'm Joel Nagel, and I'm coming to you today from the Atlantic Marina Hotel, which is in the capital of Punta Delgada, which is in one of the Azore Islands, the island of San Miguel, right in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, quite frankly. It's part of Portugal, but we're about 1,000 miles from the European continent and about 2,000 miles from the North American continent. Any of you who saw my last broadcast coming across the ocean, you'll remember that it was quite an interesting experience for my daughters and I. We literally sat in empty airport lounges, empty the Air France lounge in Boston Logan Airport. We sat on a very empty plane flying over. In fact, I was the only person in business class, and the flight attendants were kind enough to, on the fly, upgrade my daughters and bring them up and have them sit with me. I think the business class section held 18 people, and there were just the three of us. Then we arrived in Punta Delgada. We were met not only by customs and immigration officials, but also by health authorities who looked at our papers to make sure everything was in order, that we had the proper negative COVID test, which we did, and checked our temperature to make sure that there was nothing out of the ordinary. It took a few minutes, but it was nothing out of the ordinary. Came to this beautiful hotel where, again, the hotel is for maybe 200 people, and we're seeing maybe 20 people here over the last day or so. Starting to recognize the other folks that are here because you just bump into them over and over. The Azores is really, really a wonderful place. It has a very mild climate. It doesn't get that hot in the summer. Most days here it's in the high 70s. Likewise, in the winter, it never really gets much below the high 50s to low 60s. So it really is a very temperate climate. Yesterday, we drove around the island quite a bit. We went to a park, a geothermal park, and saw the remnants of the last volcanoes. You can actually see hot water bubbling up from under the ground. There's a lot of agriculture here. Beef production, fisheries. People here just have been very, very warm and welcoming. And I thought it would be a good place for me to talk just a minute about the Portugal Golden Visa, which is something my family and I decided to do a few years ago. By way of background, my daughter was studying here almost 10 years ago for her junior year abroad. And my wife and I came over to visit with her and had an opportunity to travel around Portugal. We really loved the mainland, and over the years have returned again and again. A few years ago, when Portugal came out with its Golden Visa program, we decided it was something we wanted to do. For an investment in the country, you receive first a temporary one-year visa, which over time grows and becomes a permanent residence, and then you can actually even apply for citizenship after about 5 years of having the visa. So it's something that we've enjoyed doing. It's it's sort of a forced vacation. We have to get here at least once a year, which for me is never a problem because I'm always here on business. But we decided to come back through Portugal this time because the rest of my family needed to have their week in Portugal, and they needed to do it not until later in the fall. But we know that when we get over to Vienna, where my youngest daughters are in school, things will get a little bit hectic, and we may not have time to come back here. So here we are. We're spending some time in Portugal. It's a great forced vacation, doing a little bit of work, but mostly just enjoying the time here with my daughters. We went to another geothermal spring where the water actually runs into the ocean, and that's quite interesting. It's a lagoon where people go swimming, and at one end of the lagoon where the hot water's coming out, it's very hot. It's like a jacuzzi. At the other end, it's quite cold where the Atlantic waves are coming in. But in the middle, it's a pretty delightful mix. So, and you can move up and down the lagoon depending on where you'd rather be. But I digress from the story of the Golden Visa. The Golden Visa is something you can obtain by investing in a variety of ways in Portugal. First and foremost is real estate. The real estate investment is, the standard investment is 500,000 euros, and that amount can be reduced to 400,000, 350,000, and as low as 280,000, depending on the type, where the property is located, the type of investment. If you're in a distressed area, if you're investing in historic properties, and then you can layer those things on top of each other, you can get all the way down to $280,000. I find it really amazing that the Azores, where we are now, is considered a economically distressed area. So some of the lower 280 and 350,000 investment amounts qualify here. So if you're looking for a place to maybe pick up a vacation home, it really wasn't that far. It was a little bit over 3 hours from Boston to get here. You could easily spend that amount of time, flying to Florida or Southern California or, some of the warmer climates in the United States. And certainly for East Coast people, it's the easiest way to access Europe. So if you're prepared to make those types of investments, I would seriously look at the Azores, San Miguel in particular. This is the largest Azorean island. It's Punta Delgada is the capital, has about 130,000 people live on this island. All of the islands combined is about 400,000. So about a third of the population lives here. So in addition to the investment in real estate, there's some other ways, and I'm going to talk a little bit about those tomorrow, that you can invest in businesses or even just set up your own brokerage account. And if you fund it with enough money, you can qualify that way. But most people do go the real estate option. And most people tend to go to Lisbon or they go to the Algarve. And those are the two main areas for foreign investment. Unfortunately, those are the two main areas where you get the least opportunity to get the discounts that I talked about. So you really have to be prepared to invest 500,000 euros, unless you find a historic property that needs renovation. Then you can qualify at that lower 350 level. But of course, if it needs renovation, then you're going to spend more money anyways. So I really think the real estate option here is quite easy. It's very broad. If you want to invest in something that's truly a moneymaker, you could just buy a piece of commercial real estate. You could buy a gas station and lease it out. There's no requirement. Most people tend to buy vacation homes, places that they want to live and spend some time themselves, and that makes a lot of sense. Of course, if you come during the high season, which is the summer, you're going to cut into your own return because you won't be able to rent it out as much. But I have some clients, for example, that love spending the off season in Portugal. As I mentioned, even in the wintertime, it's not hot like Florida, but it is quite temperate and enjoyable. You may have to throw on a light jacket or a light sweater and just enjoy. You don't need to have a big heavy coat. A lot of the homes here are actually even built without furnaces because there's really no need for it. So it's a temperate climate. If you like that kind of weather, you spend that part of the year here in Portugal, and then the rest of the year you can rent it out in the summer. There's tons and tons of Brits and Germans that come here, and they'll pay top dollar to rent your property on the beach. So on that note, I'm going to sign off for today, but I will join you again tomorrow, where we'll talk about the other ways that you can qualify through investment for the Golden Visa in Portugal. Until then, I want to wish you wealth that cannot be attacked and destroyed by others, as well as health and happiness. See you tomorrow.
Thanks for joining Joel Nagel and the Global Wealth Fortress Report, a whole new approach to asset protection and estate planning, so that now you can live the good life at a great price, where the sun never sets on your financial fortress.